absolutely. I read it. I'm thrilled to give my presentation about Signalis. What a great video game we just played. Am I right? What a game. All right, here is my recap. What I learned in Signalis. We are a replica named Elster. It is spelled that way, so some might think it is pronounced Lester, which confused me briefly, very briefly. But it is Elster.
Very,
I
very
remembered
briefly,
it was
yeah.
not Lester at some point. It is Elster. That is us. But there's also like other versions of us. This is generally us. That's us. That's who we
Yeah.
play as. All right. So I believe it's set in some sort of future down the road kind of
Uh,
time. Okay.
you said Signalis is confusing,
Yes.
honestly.
Yes. Well, it needed to have a there was that was part of the template, and there needed to be like a theme for the slide, and the theme
Okay.
was, and that's gonna like that you're gonna see that trend throughout the
Okay.
presentation. So
Thank you
Signalis
for
is confusing. Yes. And here are some planets um, that we play on, um,
Okay.
and I believe we are set on one planet, but we might venture to others, as I have learned. Um, I think we really only see Rot Front. I think, but I don't know. That is one of these, as you. That's that one, and you see these other ones too, and they all factor into the game. We do various puzzles and stuff with those planets, so that's kind of your setting for the game. Futuristic. All right, here's your timeline for the game. In the beginning, we know who we are searching for, but she changes names. So at some point it's Elena, at some point it's Ariana. There we go. And spell with an E though. We don't really know who. I don't know who she is, but I think we're like we're in a relationship with her. But we find that out at some point. So anyway, we're looking for her, and that's kind of the whole point of the game is that we're searching for this person, and we fight these monsters and stuff. And there are other replicas that aren't us that kind of present themselves as monsters that we fight, and just generally everything else is like a replica. But we're also a replica. That's what we fight, and there are various forms of those. And then so we do all that, and we kind of set the stage there, and then we explore a lot. We do a lot of exploring. We run through random doors and tunnels and hallways and all kinds of rooms. A lot of rooms we can't get into. And there is a beach at one point, and we meet people. We meet a guy named Adler. We see him several times, and he is somebody. Um, and there's a lot of cutscenes with him. And we keep fighting people. And there's Calibri, too. Those things are really weird. They run around, and there's a lot of numbers, and you have to change radio frequencies to stop those people. So I learned that. I know what those are called. And we keep fighting all these kinds of replicas and everything. And we do that for a while. And then we basically end up back in our ship, I think at the beginning or at the end, which is also where we started. There's a ship involved. Um, we were on a spaceship at one point. But then we're also in mines. And that's, I don't know where that factors in, honestly, but we're there at some point. And we explore more rooms. We go back to the ship. We don't have a map a lot, which is really frustrating. I like the maps so they can tell us where we're going, but we don't always have the map. And then at the end, we fight the big boss, and we see our friend die at the end. But I don't know if that's the same in every ending. That's the ending we got, and I put that in there. All right, some major themes in Signalis: aiming, very hard, very hard. That was consistent for us throughout the game. Krista and I'll throw her under the bus here too. Very hard to aim the guns in Signalis, and we tried a lot, and we did manage to get a lot of enemies down, but it did not make it any easier throughout the game. Stayed hard, made the game hard, and the game is just in general confusing. As you will see, that is a trend, as I stated earlier. The directions make no sense. Logically, if you leave one door and go up, you could end up coming up a different door from the bottom or the right or the left. Doesn't make any difference. You just run into a random room from some random door, and it's really confusing. And I like maps, and the maps don't do a lot of good when you don't end up in the same direction that you thought you were going to be going. That is a major theme of Signalis for
Okay.
me. It is very confusing. Here's my analysis of the story. I couldn't tell you.
Mhm.
I don't know. There is a game. There is a story in the game. I have been told that. Some people can follow that. I suppose I cannot. You see, we got a lot of cutscenes throughout. I don't know if there's generally any more than you would have in other video games because I'm not very experienced in that. But that does kind of move the story along, and there are a lot of notes and random diary entries or whatever that we pick up and read. Some of it is you can't read, but we do read a lot of those, and apparently you're supposed to be able to follow those. I never understood a thing that was happening. There's a lot of like poems and codes in those, and so it's not easy to follow. And the characters change names. We don't know who we're looking for half the time because she has two different names. Oh, and there are Gestalt officers, which is like a different kind of not replicas. And I think Elena is she's one of those, and or that. So those are more like actual people, and not. I guess we're sort of robots. I don't really know what a replica is, but it seems kind of like a humanistic, but not humans. So those are those as well, and we some of the times we had to like burn the enemies when you kill them, and some of the times you don't. Sometimes you just leave them there because sometimes they would come back and kill you, and that was very bad. So we did have some thermite that we would like put on the enemies when they were down, and they couldn't come back. So ultimately, my analysis is that it should have been more clearly presented because I don't know what happened in that game, and I don't know why some things happened and some things didn't. Why we could go in some rooms and sometimes we couldn't. Here's my conclusion. It is the most confusing video game I've ever played. I don't know what happened, but that is a low bar because I haven't played many video games. We did solve puzzles, which I enjoy puzzles, but I'm not very good at the puzzles in Signalis. Tristan was better. We opened a lot of doors, found a lot of keys, had to find a lot of things, random objects, keys, whatever. We didn't get in a lot of doors, which is frustrating for me because I would like to have explored everything, which we didn't get to do. I ran through, and I did get to juke a lot of enemies. Didn't have to kill them all. We didn't learn that. You don't have to waste all your bullets because you get few. And there were other replicas, and that progressed the game more forward somehow. I don't know how. Chris and I would not have done this at all without Zane. I will say that for sure. And she is a lot better at it than I am, as you will learn in her presentation. But for me, I have no idea what happened, but it was fun. Um, it was memorable, at least. I'm going to give it 2 stars just because it was memorable and it was a game that we played, and I had a lot of fun times in it, even though I don't know what happened. So can't give it 5 stars, obviously, because not a great game, but better than 1 star because it was at least fun. I left the favorite part intentionally blank because I don't have one. Um, no part of that game was my favorite, so that should be it. Thank you for watching my presentation of Signalis.
Hello, Kristen. Happy to see what you've prepared for us. Would you like to present to the class?
Yes. All right, this is a report, a review, and a ramble by me. So, we are going to be talking about Signalis today. This word means summary in German. There's a lot of German in Signalis. There's also a lot of, I think, maybe Japanese in Signalis, and that part doesn't really make sense. We don't know why they use different languages and when they use them, but both of those languages are present. Anyway, Signalis. We are aboard our Penrose ship. We are at Sierpinski, which is some sort of facility, which has mines at some point, and at some point I think we end up on Rockfront. I am still not sure how. Characters. Main character is Elster. That is who we are playing at. There's also Ariana Young, who is sometimes known as Alina So. There is Adler, Falk, and Issa and Erica Itu, possibly. Those are most of our main people. Elster is us. Oriana is a pretty main character also, and then the other people we just kind of run into / see visions or dreams of, maybe sometimes, not sure. The problem is that our Penrose ship, which is carrying Officer Ariana Young and her replica, Elster, crashes on, I think, Link, which we'll get to in a minute. Elster wakes up, she starts trying to search for Ariana, and that's because they have made a promise, and this promise is a big deal. Their promise is what makes this whole thing go on. What is their promise? But they made a promise. Elster's search is going to lead her into the Sierpinski facility and the mines, where things are going a little bit crazy. Here's some pictures of our characters, just in case you want to know what everybody looks at. Like, we have Elster, as Daniel said. Most of the time she kind of looks like this, but she does change outfits, and sometimes she looks different. We have Ariana. Her most distinctive feature is that she has white hair, although this seems to be a plot point at different points. We have Adler, and we have Falk, and then we have Erica, and we have Issa. We do see Erica and Issa. We see Issa a lot.
Oh, this is the one, right?
Yeah. Erica, I believe we only see in like cutscenes or like maybe flashbacks, memory streams, something.
Are we gonna credit the Falk fan art?
Yeah. So I couldn't find a good picture of Falk like in the game. In the game, she's just basically a blur laying on a bed and then standing up, and you can't really see a lot. So I did go with this picture because it was more clear. And everybody else had a nice picture, and Falk didn't, and I felt bad for that. So you did get Falk fan art, but these little spears and things that are around her are relevant. So I thought they did a good job. Okay, so first let's talk about replicas, because replicas are a big deal in this game. Is that an in-game picture?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess it is because it's from the poster, huh? But, okay, here, can I comment on these posters?
Yeah.
I found these posters on Reddit, and some really nice person on Reddit basically took the in-game art from the thing, and he, like, made them a lot nicer looking. So I didn't really think about that one being there. Anyway, replicas. What are replicas? Well, what we know about them is that they are a replica of a gestalt. And my word nerd / SL penis goes into a gestalt being like a framework or like a structure of something. So I'm guessing that the gestalts have something to do with being kind of the baseline being that the replicas are then based off of. There are a lot of different kinds. We learned about all sorts of different kinds. These are just a few of them. Not really any of the main ones because this is not what we are. We are, in fact, an LSTR, Elster unit. But we do run into these different replicas as we are on our journeys. Things to know about replicas are they're all based off of like a single person or a single gestalt. And so they all have a different personality because they all have different personalities. They all have different things that stabilize them. And so we learn all these different things that you need to know about stabilizing them. Like, so some of them want like lots of books, and some of them you can't let them listen to music, and some of them you get bored really easily. So they need to make sure they're kind of entertained, and they have all these different things that you know that's going to keep a replica stabilized so that they can do what they're going to do. So the calibri that Daniel will have mentioned, I believe, are a very good indicator of one that's not very stable because by the time we see them, they're going completely nuts. And I think they're the ones that like music, maybe, but I might be wrong about that. Anyway, so they're all based off of a gestalt of some kind. They are all through the facility that we are in, and they have kind of lost their minds and gone cuckoo. I'm assuming that by the time we run into them, they are definitively no more not stabilized anymore for some reasons. And they're trying to kill us basically the whole time we're in there. So we don't like them. I think this is actually a boss maybe, but I'm not sure. Anyway, moving on, main characters. So this is where we get rambly, everyone. Lots and lots of text. So I just need to talk about all these random things that we know about our main characters. Elster is us. She is a LSTR replica unit. They need to be left alone. They were based on a Venetan soldier. They don't like to hear about the war because there was a war on Veneta, apparently, and they were a soldier and they don't want to hear about it. They want to be left alone, not befriended. You're not supposed to play music, not supposed to let them watch any films. Don't do any of that. That's bad. And then you have the Adler unit, which is what our friend Adler was. They are supposed to be very easy to control. They also get bored easily. And then you have Falk, which I'm guessing is a Falk unit. But she's one of the few that her name is spelled the same as her replica, so I'm not precisely sure what that is. But she's a commander, and they have this kind of aura, and they can like bend the minds of other people and like facilitate emotions in people. And I think that probably explains why Adler is completely obsessed with her, because Adler is the replica that's under Falk's command, and he is like super obsessed with her the whole game long. He's always talking about how wonderful the commander is. So those are our primary characters that are replicas. And then we go into our characters that are gestalts. You get even more words. So, first two, Erica and Issa. These are twin sisters. They are from Veneta. Their parents run a bookstore, which we eventually find. They have a lot of banned books in their bookstore and lots of different materials. I believe that includes possibly the King in Yellow or whatever the book is that kind of starts the game off as part of their bookstore. Some of it talks about the Grand Empress, which I'm guessing has something to do with the Empire, which we'll get to in a moment. But they're not supposed to read that. Things I think happen. I think maybe Erica is killed by Adler, or she's at least injured by Adler. Not entirely sure. Issa, we run into a lot while we're going through the facility, and she seems to be searching, I'm guessing, for Erica, although I'm not completely sure. She also acts like she doesn't know Alina Ariana when we talk to her and we show a picture of her, which is weird because then we go and talk about Ariana, who I think is like the linchpin of this whole game. I'm just not sure how. But she seems really, really important. She was raised by her mom, which was apparently not normal. She used to work in the Itu's bookstore. So she saw information that a lot of people didn't see because she would have seen all their banned materials, right? When she's on the Penrose ship with us, she's known as Ariana, but then once we get to the facility, she's known as Alina, and not really sure why. Her hair is white, but when Alina is talking, because sometimes we pick up these notes, like Daniel pointed out earlier, sometimes those notes are from Ariana. Like if they're on the ship, they're Ariana's notes, and if we're in the facility, they're Alina's notes. And when we're reading Alina's notes, she doesn't know why her hair is turning white or anything. Like she doesn't really have memories of all this kind of stuff. But her hair is very obviously white, and people refer to her as the white-haired girl a lot in the game. Alina does have dreams about a past life. A lot of characters kind of say that. They like are thinking about this past life that they had. Adler and Falk both have visions or dreams, something about the white-haired girl, but they don't really know who the white-haired girl is. But they're definitely all thinking about Alina / Ariana. So that's our main characters. Okay, so now we're going to talk about planets. So I don't know what the politics of this place are. It kind of reminds me of Star Wars, but in reverse, because I get the impression that the Empire is good in this game, not bad. Unless you're one of those people who think that the Empire is not bad in Star Wars either. Same. But there are a bunch of propaganda posters everywhere. So all those posters we saw a few minutes ago, the replicas, those are like some of the propaganda posters. We also see all these propaganda posters talking about the different planets. I think the only planets are Hymak, Kitsa, Buyan, Veneta, and Rotfront. I, for a long time, thought Lang was a planet, but I think it's actually just a place on a planet. But Lang is where the Sierpinski facility is for sure. So I think it's on Lang, which is a part of another planet. Which maybe that's Rotfront? No, I think Zane said it wasn't Rotfront. I'm not confused. I'm not sure what's going on with Rotfront, but everything seems to go to Rotfront. So whenever you see like cutscenes and flashbacks and things like that, it's all like the bookstores on Rotfront and the sisters are going to school on Rotfront and all this stuff is happening in Rotfront. But I'm pretty sure that our main characters are against the Empire. By main characters, I mean the Adler and Falk and all these people that we're running into all the time. I'm pretty sure they're on one side and the Empire's on the other side. And I'm pretty sure that the Empire is good, but I wouldn't swear to that. I'm curious to find out, but that's the impression that I get. Okay, now, halfway through. This is what the themes of this game are. Death, dreams, and destruction. Lots of that is going on all the time throughout this game. Okay. I have a lot of timeline to talk about because I'm still trying to figure out what's going on in this game. And I'm not really sure still. So I thought I'd write out some of the major events that were going on, and then we can see if it makes sense at the end. So Elster wakes up. She's in a crashed ship. She starts looking for Ariana. She goes to the Sierpinski facility. She meets Adler. Adler says she shouldn't have returned. Shoves her down an elevator shaft. I forgot how early that happened in the game. Yeah, really early. There are lots of bodies in that elevator shaft when we climb out of it, and they happen to look a lot like us. But we keep going. We keep searching. We see a cutscene of Erica, who seems to be killed by Adler. Then we also see Issa seem to stab Adler, I think through the eyeball. We also find out that Falk has been in a coma and has been dreaming of Ariana, but doesn't know why. We find out that the Calibri, which we've mentioned, think that Adler knows Elster somehow, but they don't know how Adler would know Elster. That part got repeated, so we'll just skip that part. Adler is talking about how he's dreaming of his Gestalt life, which includes Ariana / Alina somehow or another. So these are all things we learn as we're going through this Prinsky facility. And then we get to the mines, and when we get to the mines, we find some notes that let us know that Alina has also been looking for us, and that her hair is turning white, and she doesn't know why. And then we spend a long time in the mines, and honestly, nothing happens in the mines except for that we can't find our way around because there's no map, but we can't get in through the doors because the doors are dumb in the mine, and we don't get hardly any information, and then eventually we jump down a hole, and we meet Adler. And Adler has a knife in his eye, and he says that he keeps living this over and over and over, but he hasn't gone back. So I'm not sure what that means. Also, forgot to mention that these meetings keep happening under this little archway thing. Everything is red, and there's this little black arch that seems to do something. Anyway, so we talked to Adler, and he's like, I haven't gone back yet. And we go back to the Penrose, and on our way back, it seems like we die in the sand. And this is where we ran into our false ending, where Daniel and I were really confused because we thought the game was over because we didn't have an arm and we were just laying around in the sand. But then we woke up in our ship again, and everything was different. So we kind of go around, we do some of our replica, like repair stuff, and then we go hang out with Ariana. This is where we find out that us and Ariana are in fact in a relationship, and we see us singing and dancing and kissing. And if you remember, we're a replica unit that's not supposed to sing or dance or interact with other humans, so this is bad. And then danger, this is the one German word that I learned from Signalis, is Achtung, danger, and our ship crashes. And that seems to bring us back to, I guess, the present where our ship has crashed, right? But it's just happened over again. And then we see a cutscene of Ariana, who's looking at us, who's laying on the ground, and we look like we're dying, and she's like, hey, do you remember our promise? And then we wake up, and this time we're really determined, and we change, and now we're wearing white. So we were dressed like Daniel and I showed you pictures for a long time, but all of a sudden we turned into white gear for some reason. And then we start seeing more cutscenes. Zane's going to describe or explain so many things to us later. So we see Adler, he's talking to Falk, and he's saying like she's different, and he says something about like it seems like she's been like taken apart and put back together by somebody who didn't quite know how to take her apart or put her back together. So that was kind of interesting. There's also starts to be a lot of talk about spy from Heimat at this point. So somebody's a spy. I don't know if maybe Ariana / Alina is a spy, or if we're a spy, or Erica's a spy. It makes sense for Erica or maybe Alina to be a spy because they both have that, like, they know all this other stuff that most people don't know because of the bookstore with the banned books, but we're not sure. We start talking a little bit of Ariana's backstory, so we learn that kind of some of the stuff I said about her being raised by her mom, and she talks to her aunt a lot, and she has seen this picture of Alina, and she's like, God, we really look alike. But she gets assigned to the Penrose ship eventually. We also see that she never opened up that letter that told us that you're not supposed to sing and dance and fraternize with the Elster unit, so she might have not known. We don't know. Or she ignored it. We run into Issa, who can't find her, but I'm not sure who her is. So most of the game, I assume that she was looking for her sister Erica. I'm honestly not sure. She could have also been looking for Alina. I'm not really sure, but she looks like she dies, and we ask for her forgiveness. And then we find this note from Adler, says that all the Gestalts are dead, and that the replicas are all, like, dying, but by dying, he seems to mean they're, like, degrading, and that reality is basically turning in on itself, and, like, they don't know what reality is anymore, and so we're just, like, reliving all these cycles. We see some more memories from Falk, but they're starting to run together with Elster, and she's basically like, I don't know where I begin and Elster ends. So there's all sorts of confusion. We go talk to Falk, and Falk's like, we shouldn't have returned, and she's a bit mad at us, and then she starts trying to kill us. She says she'll never dance with us again, and she also says they're not whole, but they need to be. So there's all these, this is where we got really confused about who Falk is. Is Falk actually Elster, or Elster and Falk the same person? Are there two different people who are in love with Alina? We're not really sure, but we battle Falk, and we win, eventually. And that's our final boss fight. And then we become one, apparently. So then we go back to that arch, and we start talking to Adler. And he's mad at us this time, and he stabs us to keep us from coming back. But we go back to the ship, and the Penrose is about to fail. Everybody's about to be dead, all these kinds of stuff. They find all these notes that are basically like, hey, you should get your replica to kill you before everything falls apart, essentially, and there's no other option. So we find what looks like ourselves, and we're kind of like, oh man, eventually we succumb too, and we're just like, we're there, but then we're also looking at ourselves, and ourselves is dead, but in the black and red outfit, and we're standing there in the white outfit, like, oh man, eventually we died. Then we go to Ariana, who's in this little pod thing, and then we keep our promise, it seems, and we kill her. And that is the story of Signalis, as far as I understand it. I have a lot of questions, which could go into our roundtable if we'd like to take them to our roundtable, because we're going to discuss. But I do have questions, so I'll just skim through the fact that I have a lot of questions here, including some David Tennant, because I'm not sure what's going on. So we'll come back to this. So here we go. Some favorite moments, because I do have some favorite moments. Finding the save room in the mines after Daniel beat that boss and we didn't know that we had a save room in the mines is one of my favorite things ever. Daniel got really excited. Going into the false ending and not having any idea what was going on was also a lot of fun, because I think Daniel and I had this moment where we thought we were a lot better than we really were because we had beat the game and didn't know how close we were. Also, Zane telling us that we had been trying to fight Falk on hard and not normal after we had done this for like a long time. I guess you've probably seen this by now, like 2 hours. But then Daniel went back and defeated Falk on normal and was like, piece of cake, way too easy. So that was pretty great. Here's some suggestions. Shooting is really hard, just like Daniel said. It stinks. Not having a map also sucks, just like Daniel said. We seem to have walked away with some similar things. The doors in the mine are really terrible also. You can't get into them. They're not real doors. It's too dark throughout this game. I really think there could have been a little bit more light. I understand the aesthetic, but sometimes it's hard to see. And it turns out that most of the other things that we complained about seem to be settings that you could adjust once you got into the game. Like the doors can open faster if you change some little settings, and you can technically change how many things you're allowed to carry around and stuff like that. So I guess you can't complain because we played it the way we played it. And here's my final. So, things I haven't really talked about a whole lot yet, but I think the writers of this game are really brilliant, because there are about 1,000 and billion and loads of Easter eggs all throughout this game. There's songs that we hear that are real songs. There's paintings that are in here that are real paintings. The King in Yellow is a real book. I was looking at some other things just as I was going through my playthrough, and I started to realize, like, oh, all of this stuff is actually based on real things. Like, I think even Sierpinski is based on something real. It's not not a facility to my knowledge. I think it's a person. So I have a feeling there are a lot of things that are going to contribute to this story once I understand what they are. So even though I'm not exactly sure what's going on, and I'm still really curious, I'm really invested in what this promise Elster made was. Is it actually to kill Ariana? Was not to kill Ariana? I'm still not entirely sure. And it does seem to vary depending on what kind of ending you get, so I'm not sure about that either. But I'm really looking forward to learning more of the lore, so that's what I'm excited about doing next. So I gave it a 3.5 stars.
All right.
And other than my question slides, that's all, but I'll let you decide if we're going to do questions now or if we're going to do that later.
I suppose we will discuss that, and then we'll see.
Okay, cool.
All right. Well, thank you for your talk.
Goodbye.
Welcome, everyone, to the CDZ Files After Hours podcast.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Where we discuss our favorite video games. How are you guys feeling today?
Good.
Accomplished. We finished Signalis.
Yeah.
We
And
did.
I got through the presentation.
We did it. You guys did your final end of game presentations.
Uh-huh.
Everything's going pretty good, I'd say.
I spent a whole week on that, so I mean, I'm kind of glad that I finished it.
I spent like an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned some stuff from Kristen, so that was good.
Yeah. Well, now we can just talk about whatever you guys want. Like,
Okay. Well,
Start us off, Kristen.
I have questions that I left off of my presentation because it was getting too long.
mm-hmm.
So these are all just stream of consciousness, as you can probably tell by the or written down here. Okay, first question.
Okay.
All the replicas are based on a Gestalt,
I didn't know that.
right? So
Yeah.
who is Elster's based on?
It's a good question.
Could it be one of the Itu twins?
We did look like Erica based on your picture in your presentation.
It's an interesting idea.
So Because here's my thought process.
Mhm.
Well, at one point, I was pretty convinced that we were based on one twin and Falk was based on the other twin.
Okay.
Because
I didn't know Falk was a replica.
Falk is a replica, right?
Yes. Oh,
Okay.
oh my god.
Daniel's gonna make me question everything.
I didn't know Adler was.
Okay.
I thought there were people in this.
Okay, well, here's one thing.
I
So,
just need to calm down.
because you made a comment about them being robots.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so my impression is they're not robots.
The replicas?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your
That
impression?
they're just in armor.
Hmm.
So are they robots or are they not?
Interesting idea, Chris.
Well, a lot of them look very human.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them look like funny looking humans, but like the Mina, like I was.
Yeah,
was
I've got a
pretty
lot
weird.
of. Okay, so
So they are robots.
partly replicas.
Like androids.
It's explained in one of the in-game documents. They're biomechanical. They're part organic matter, part mechanical components.
Okay, gotcha.
They're, I would say, more heavily mechanical than they are organic.
Okay.
But yes, they are kind of robots.
Okay, secondary question.
Yes.
Are Gestalts normal humans?
Yes.
That was okay.
Okay.
Gestalts are people.
Are they called Gestalts because the replicas are based on them?
Yes.
And replicas
Okay.
are called replicas because the replicas of Gestalt
people.
had
Of
no
people.
idea.
Okay.
In the beginning of the game, there's a bit where it lists out replica and gestalt and then gives you a literal dictionary definition of what the words mean.
Did we read that?
Yeah,
I'm
you
sure
read
we
it.
did.
Oh, that's been
Yeah.
months. Okay, so back to the original question.
Okay. So, who is Elster based on? So, some of my thoughts are because we know that. Gotta gather them.
That's not even a question.
We know that Elster is a Venetian soldier,
Yes.
and we know that the Itus are from Veneta. And
You knew that.
and it would kind of make sense in some ways if one of the Itus knew Ariana because she worked in the bookstore, and then the replica fell in love with her once she was a replica. It would also kind of, because I can't decide if I think that Falk and Elster are somehow like one person, or if they were both based on a twin. Then that could be like another interesting theory as to why they have this like shared personality. Because I don't know why Falk is like, will never dance with her again. But then she does say, I don't know where I begin and Elster ends. So I'm not really sure what's going on with this whole alternate personality
Do you know any of this?
So,
thing.
okay, so we know for a fact that Elster is based off of a Venetian soldier. We know
Yes.
that much. And we know of at least 3 Venetian soldiers.
Who's
People
third?
from Veneta. That's Issa, Erica, and Alina.
Is she
Okay.
based on Alina then?
But
That'd be
then
kind of weird.
Then that gets weird. That's like Doctor Who. Is it Doctor Who? No. It's Loki. When Loki falls in love with himself, essentially. Because he falls in love with his alternate version Loki.
Yeah, spoiler alert for a show that's been out for several years.
Sorry. But that would be essentially the same thing.
Kind of?
So we don't know for sure who she's based on.
I mean, the thing about this kind of game is there's not a ton that I can say definitively.
Who do you think she's based on?
I think Alina is probably the best bet.
So you think Elster is based on Alina?
Yes.
But see, I don't know what you know and what you don't know. So I'm just going to ask you if you do know or if this is speculative. But in this case, it's speculative.
Okay, secondary question to all of this. Was not. Well, did I know that Alina was from Veneta? What's the whole Alina Oriana split? Do you not know?
I mean, I could speculate. I
Speculate.
got theories.
I want to know your theories.
Well, okay,
This
what
is
do you mean
theorizing
the
time.
Split.
Why is she Ariana on the ship and Alina in the? Is she looking for herself in the mountains?
You might be right.
What?
Think about it less.
Less literally.
Yeah. Think about it in a slightly less literally as well as less linearly.
Okay, so
Linear.
towards the
Linear.
end of my playthrough, I did start to suspect that some of this was not as concrete as it seems.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But
None of it was concrete for me.
well, the one concrete thing the whole game was we're looking for Ariana.
Yeah.
Once you told me that, yeah.
That's like the one thing that we knew. And the more I kept watching it, the more I was like, I'm not really sure that we're looking for Ariana in the way that I think we're looking
If you
for
look
Ariana.
at, well, okay, a place you can start, right? Think about the transitions between locations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So first off, we're on the Penrose.
Mm-hmm.
We crash on some planet somewhere. It's never really confirmed. But it could be kind of surmised that it is probably not in the solar system that we started. Right?
Okay.
Because our job
is to look for other planets.
Yes, to look for other planets, and by the end of that, we would have been well beyond the reach of any of the previous planets.
That's fair. I didn't think about that.
We crash land. We go down into the hole. Now we're in Sierpinski, which is on Lang, which is a separate planet from Rotfront.
Okay.
And so now we're on Lang. Now we go through Sierpinski and all that stuff. Blah 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 blah. We go down through the mines and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We walk out. We're back on the surface of that weird planet we crash landed on. We go into the ship, jump down a hole. Now we're back on Sierpinski again. We go through Sierpinski, jump down another hole, and now we're on Rotfront, which is a completely different planet.
Right. Which I still don't really understand exactly how we jumped through all these holes and got there. Unless they're all portals. Which makes this whole archway thing seem important. The archway seems like a portal. Of some sort, or something. Like.
I'll be honest. I don't even know what the archway is that you're talking about.
Do you remember when Adler's sitting there with the knife in his eyeball?
Yeah.
There's like a little archway. And at the very end, we like climb up all those rocks, and there's kind of like a little archway.
Hang on, I got something.
I didn't pay attention.
It's in this hole.
Yeah, I never knew what was happening in any of that.
Back.
That one.
Oh, I remember that. Okay. Oh yeah, any of those cutscenes, I didn't know what I was watching, so.
That archway.
Okay. I was gonna laugh if you didn't get that on camera.
Okay. Alright. Okay, so Alina is us. So we're searching for... So is everybody just trying to get back in touch with their OG Gestalt? And that's why they're all kind of going crazy? Because it seems like one of the big things about, like, keeping them pacified is, like, do just enough so that they, like, don't remember their past lives, and they don't, like, think too much, and they don't, like, this, that, or the other. It's, like, basically, like, keep them sedated so they don't... stabilized, as they call it.
Okay. So all our, like, enemies are all replicas.
Yes.
What are they replicas of? Like, what is the pelican guy a replica of?
Person.
But not quite as literally as I thought it was, because obviously they're, yeah.
The thing is, all the replicas, right, are being corrupted. Right? They're being, like, twisted, and they're being, like, malformed and stuff. Like, the replica the pelicans are based... The person the pelicans are based off doesn't look like the pelican.
Well, that's good.
That's not what the replica looked like originally either.
Oh. Okay.
Okay.
I can live with that answer.
That helps.
Yeah.
That helps, and I was starting to get a little less literal as I went through these thoughts, so that helps. Okay, so possibly we're looking for ourselves. But
Very deep.
then... So Ariana is real.
Yes.
And a real Gestalt that we're actually really in love with.
Yes. Like, everyone is a real person.
Yeah. But we're based on Alina. Possibly. And then we'd be kind of looking for ourselves. So, but when we get to the end and we presumably kill Ariana, is that Ariana or is that Alina? That's Ariana, right?
Well, it's the same person.
Because she has white hair.
Is it the same person?
And that's the question you ask, like, this whole thing is, are they actually the same person?
I didn't know that her hair changed color.
She mentions it somewhere. She's like, my hair's turning white, and I don't know why.
You think I read that?
And then she starts talking about how she's remembering things, and she does like a past life, and she doesn't know what she's remembering. And
Ariana she has a medical condition. That's why her hair is white. But Alina does make note of her hair being turned white through her diary.
yes. So Ariana is the one that's bioresonant?
Yes, Ariana is bioresonant.
Okay.
Very heavily implied to be.
Yes. And so something about bioresonance makes you, I don't know if it's like they create it, I don't know exactly how it works, but they have something to do with like creating doppelgangers and like dreams and like things of that nature. Or bioresonant qualities somehow or another affect those kinds of things happening.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like they talk about it in some of the books in the end,
Mm-hmm.
in the ways that bioresonance, like I said, even in the universe of the game, right, they talk about how bioresonance isn't a necessarily fully understood phenomenon.
Yeah.
It's just a thing that they do tap into and try to use, and that's what a lot of things are based on. Like they explain, that is bioresonance is the basis for creating replicas.
The replicas. Yeah.
And that heavily impacts it. And it gets kind of wibbly wobbly,
Timey-wimey.
metaphysical. It's like the bioresonant kind of lets you. It's like it lets you kind of distort reality or change reality. Right?
Mm-hmm. Which is what everybody seems to be enduring. Because they're all like having all these dreams and they're feeling like they're just like reliving these same cycles over and over again, but they're having like all these like things resurface and all sorts of crazy stuff. So I can't actually figure out. Well, okay, so this does kind of weird me out because it would make a little like if you went through the archway and you just like started the day over or the cycle over or whatever, and you just kept going back and like trying to find Alina, like that would be one thing. But the fact that our physical bodies are still there kind of throws me off too. Because it's not like we're going back in time and just reliving it. It's like
It's like a prestige thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spoiler alert for the Prestige.
When you
It's
watch
20
the
years
Prestige
old.
one day.
No, I know what the Prestige is about.
Okay.
Oh, you don't get that reference.
No, I know.
Okay.
I get the reference.
That's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, that helps.
We're not going to spoil it for the
Sure.
I guess, but like I know
That's 20 years old.
I know the plot of the movie.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I guess so. So why do we change into a white thing at the end?
We put it on.
Is there any like
Oh, it's heavier arm.
Okay.
It all comes back to the armor.
Okay. Okay, so second question.
That one's just practical.
Okay, that's just a practical question. Okay. Are we good guys or bad guys?
What do you mean?
Is the Empire good or bad?
There's nothing I can really say about that. There's not enough information.
There's not enough information. Okay.
Are we part of the Empire?
There's two main political bodies, right? There's the Empire of Yusan, and there's the Nation of Yusan.
What?
Yusan, that's the name of the thing. Right?
Okay, I did not know.
Did we ever encounter that at all?
Yes, it is stated so many times throughout the game.
Kristen didn't.
That one I did not catch.
How do you spell this?
EUSAN.
Oh, it's on all the posters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's a word. I didn't know what it meant.
There's the Empire of Yusan and there's the Nation of Yusan. The Empire of Yusan is the original, and then the Nation of Yusan revolted, right, and broke off and formed their own country, and they are currently locked in war with one another.
What planet are they on?
Which planets? There's multiple. Like
They're a country.
The solar system is divided, right? The Nation of Yusan controls some planets. The Empire controls some other planets.
So the nation has Rockfront.
Yes, Rockfront is under control of the Nation of Yusan.
Because I remember some of the posters from. Because some of the posters are like very clearly like, "Woo, we're awesome this planet," and then some of the other planet posters are like, "They need to be brought under our control." I don't remember which one's which, but Rockfront's the only one I got a really clear feeling about.
So yeah, I mean, I would say you can probably surmise that if a revolution happened, the Empire probably wasn't that good to begin with either. But, I mean, so it's like, presumably the Empire probably wasn't a particularly good regime, which would, of course, lead to a revolt happening.
Yeah.
But well, not necessarily, but generally. But, the nation of Yusan is evidently not much better.
Yeah, because they're the ones with all the propaganda
Yeah.
Mm.
that seem to have made the replicas, or maybe are corrupting the replicas.
Their revolution has inevitably led to becoming an equally despotic regime.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. There we go. Okay. I'm reading more. So, okay, if Sierpinski is not on any of the known planets,
Sierpinski is on.
is on Lang. Oh, sorry, not one of the main 5 planets.
I'm trying. Okay, Heimat, Kitez, Veneta, Front, Bouillon, Lang. That's 6. I think that's all of them.
Is that all of them? Are there 6 planets?
So. I think that's all of them.
Okay. So what is Sierpinski?
That is the name of the mining facility.
Right. What are they mining for?
Minerals and stuff.
Okay. Well, why is everything going crazy in Sierpinski?
Uncertain.
So I know that there's some stuff about, on the ship at least, it talks about how things are going to start, like as things start breaking down, that it's going to like leak radiation. And then as radiation leaks, obviously that's not bad for anybody, which is why the Gestalts start dying. So all the Gestalts are, or I guess all the Gestalts would be dead on the ship, but that kind of seems like it's also happening in the mines. I mean, I don't know if it's radiation, but like all the Gestalts are dead, and everybody's going crazy, and it's just the replicas left, and they're also going crazy because they're not stabilized anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, did they delve too greedily and too deep? Maybe. Is the promise to kill Oriana?
Do we kill her?
Oh my god.
Well, you never did answer this. I know, but it was ambiguous.
Yes, you kill Ariana.
Why would we do that?
Maybe it's the promise, maybe it's not. I would say that's heavily implied to be the promise, but
Because again, in the note, it's like you should get your replica to kill you. Because basically, they're in the ship and they're like, "Hey, if you haven't found land by now, just accept your fate. You're not going to. You can either get your replica to kill you, basically, so you don't die up there and starve, or you can get into your little cryogenic pod,
Okay.
and just like sleep."
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like Interstellar.
yeah.
Okay.
Everything goes back to Nolan.
Oh yeah.
Just like Interstellar.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason I couldn't pronounce Ariana, because it looks like Ariadne, which is an Inception reference.
Okay.
Do you have any questions, Dan?
Oh. I have so many that it's not even worth asking because I just don't care.
Okay.
But this is fascinating.
Okay, at one point I apparently had a theory that
I can't even formulate questions. So how little I know.
Elster was actually trying to go to Supinski / the mines to figure out what Ariana's history was with Alina. Because she could have had a doppelganger. Which would have been Ariana's doppelganger, would have been Alina. Oh yeah, and then I have a lot of theories about the Ichu sisters, and the fact that I feel like they probably have a bigger role in this than maybe it seems. But okay, wait, who worked in the bookstore with the Ichu sisters, Alina or Ariana?
I think
Ariana, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Ariana never knew.
Okay. So the Ichu sisters knew.
They're
Ariana.
the same person.
Okay, Daniel, we need to nip this one in the bud right now, and just for the rest of this conversation, imagine that Ariana and Alina are not the same person.
Remember, we're searching for ourselves.
Yeah, I never understood that. That is the one thing from the game that I knew.
It just all got turned on its head.
Okay.
So, right, okay, so, because when you're on Rotfront, you find a photo, I think in the photo store, and it's of a Venetan infantry unit. And that infantry unit, Alina Seo, is part of that unit, right? And then, of course, you have the later note of Ariana evidently found the photo and wrote to her mother about Alina Seo, and they don't know who she is.
Right. But they look similar.
They do look similar.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Falk and Elster.
Yes.
What's the deal with them? Why is Falk remembering Elster's memories?
That's a good question.
Falk remembers Elster's memories.
And why are they becoming one at the end?
Good question.
Do you have any theories on that one?
Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly. No, I guess the real answer is probably some type of bioresonant phenomenon.
Okay. Well, they also talk about Falk and how Falk can like project emotions and like do things like that.
Falk is highly bioresonant.
So Falk is also bioresonant.
Yes.
So Falk and Ariana are both bioresonant. So between the two of them, there's a lot of weird dream projection and stuff going on.
Yeah.
So if Adler is dreaming about Alina, not Ariana.
I'll have to come back.
He talks no, because he says white-haired girl. So maybe he's dreaming about Ariana. Because he talks about dreaming about, I think he says the white-haired girl, and the tarot cards.
I don't recall the tarot cards.
Well, that's what I'm calling the tarot cards, but he talks about. Oh, he says she's an orange armor.
Yes. He remembers. Memories of an Elster unit. But he notes that that's weird because there's never been an Elster unit at S23.
Right, which is why the Calibri get all suspicious eventually, because they can like
The Calibri
read
are
minds.
also bioresonant.
Okay, yeah, and they're like, why is he having dreams about an Elster unit? Because there's never been one.
The Calibri don't talk.
Yeah, they do.
Us, they just go.
Or you talk to one in game.
Which one is the Calibri that we talk?
She's in the library.
Go to multiple libraries.
The bookstore.
No, not the library in the facility. You know the puzzle where there's the book on the bookshelf and you have to move.
Oh yeah, yeah.
She's in that.
Okay. Shoot, what was I going to look up? I went to my full game no commentary video because I thought I had a question and I was going to go refer to something. Oh, Adler, when he's talking about. Figure out when that was. There's so much game.
Music sounds familiar.
Before we go to the mines.
Okay.
You should know this, Zane. You should know everything.
I mean, what moment is this?
I'm trying to find when Adler's talking about having the thoughts about Alina / Ariana.
Assume that would probably be in his journal.
It is, yeah. Because he's like, I keep having these dreams.
Exactly what he sounds like.
That's the voice acting we'll need. Oh yeah, that does. You guys gonna have to get real comfortable talking a lot because there's gonna be a lot of reading in our next game.
Oh boy.
Can't
All right,
wait to hear
Kristen.
about our
So
next
I'm
game.
gonna need you guys to bring your like voice acting chops.
I don't have any of those.
You're gonna have to do your best
Why did you pick a game with a lot of reading?
because this is what I've decided. Okay, I have so decreed. That is what is going to be. I don't know if the viewers will know what that next game is by the time this video comes out, but we'll find out, I guess.
We don't know what the next game is going to be.
We'll find out.
When are we going to find out?
Mm,
I was just right. Amina was a boss.
yes, the mine is a boss.
Yeah, what is a mina?
It's one of the.
Big thing.
Kind of looks like a pig.
Oh, yeah.
We made a joke when we were playing the game about the mina being in the mines.
Yeah.
He was a mina.
Aren't we funny? Yeah.
I'm just gonna Google it.
They picked up on the puns.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking when you said mina, I was like, well, that sounds like somebody mispronouncing minor.
Makes sense, it's a mining robot.
Well, they were a little too spot on with that one, weren't they? It's like calling it replica, but putting a K in there, making it sound fancy. There's a Reddit thread. What's the deal with our Alina? Good question.
Well, this person's answer is, and I quote, I don't know, some bioresonance dream shit.
Here we go.
Yeah, that sounds about right. You know, something's, you don't know what something means, just bioresonance, man.
So we could just explain that. Can I just use that for the whole game?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in Signalis. Bioresonance.
Bioresonance, you know. And
That'll do it.
You know, the bioresonance happened and we got there.
And then I sound intelligent.
Oh, these Reddit threads are gonna be a trip.
Man, you're doing something that even I'm not brave enough to do.
Oh.
Looking at the subreddit.
I can't wait to dig into this. I'm gonna have so many more questions. Okay, yeah, that's gonna be a whole.
Oh, fun stuff.
Okay, hold on, let me see if I had any other glaring questions. About Falk. They refer to the cycles a lot, but okay, but we kind of have been talking about that. It was very wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey. Wibble wobbles. Okay, I think that's most of my general questions.
Okay. Daniel, any more questions?
Oh no, I'm good.
Okay, no? Really? Okay.
What do you think I'm gonna ask?
Ask one question, Daniel.
Ask us one question.
I got nothing.
Okay, well, I might have to dock your grade for the discussion portion of this class.
Oh, wait, I have a question. I have a
We had
question.
a good discussion. What are you talking about?
Does Adler kill Erica?
I don't know, man. Maybe.
Is Issa the one that stabs Adler in the eye?
Yes, that's Issa.
Okay. Cool. Just checking.
Do we encounter Erica?
I don't believe so, no.
I don't think so. I think we just see her in, like, visions.
Alright. It's a fun time.
Oh, yeah, grades! How are grades, Zane?
Let me see. I don't have. I'm gonna try and remember the rubric
You can pull it
from
up.
scratch. Let me think. Okay, I remember it. So
I'll confirm that you're right so you don't short us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know how much better you did than I did.
I don't know. I missed a lot of things. Did you make the word rubric shake on the?
Yes.
Every time I've looked at it, I've been like, "Am I losing it?"
You know you can send effects on text.
I mean, like I know that, but I never do it. So I was just
let
like,
me-
"Why is only that word shaking?" Especially after by Friday, I was like, "Is that like still just a?"
Okay, so 50 for length.
Yeah, so you both completed, I'd say, both time length and content.
Mm-hmm.
Woot woot.
I'm gonna give you full marks on creativity for the both of you.
Wow, look at us. That's
What
a
was
B
the
already.
other,
Oral presentation is 10 points.
presentation? You know what? I'm gonna give you 10 points for that too. I'll give you
So we're
both.
Both of
tied
us?
so far.
Yeah.
This is like the end of Sorcerers.
Now,
Yes.
I do have to deduct a few points for accuracy
No, you just don't grant them.
in the information you presented. Okay, I will refuse to grant the points.
Yes.
Daniel, as much as I would love to give you points for this, you unfortunately gave me almost no information about the story of this game.
Sure.
Which
Because
is
nobody
kind
could
of-
possibly know the story.
Which
of
is
the game.
kind of what this the whole thing was about.
Sure.
So I will have to give you 0 points for accuracy.
That's fine.
Kristen,
Yeah.
you did. While I cannot necessarily give you full marks because there were a lot of things you weren't many things where you weren't quite right on it, or you weren't quite going down the same path. You definitely put a lot of thought into it. There was plenty of stuff you did get right, so I'll give you 3 points for accuracy.
I'll take it.
I'll take a 95 all day.
I'll give you 95, Daniel, for your presentation, and I'll give you, Kristen, what would that be?
98.
98 on your presentation.
Hooray!
Congratulations, you both got an A.
I guess we passed the
Continue.
Signalis class.
That means you don't have to eat broccoli.
That
Hey,
does-
yes!
I will say, Kristen also gets a 100 on the discussion portion. Daniel fails the discussion.
But that was not in the
portion.
rubric.
This is a second grade. This is separate from
Fails
the
with a what score?
A fail. I might have to give you a 0.
You contributed!
You contributed almost nothing to the discussion, so
You still have time.
yeah, you still have time. Hey, do you want? Can you ask one question related to the game?
Can
Or-
you succinctly explain the game to me
That is not
in realistic terms?
That is not a question. That is a request
That is a question.
of me.
It's like my teacher in school. You had to either make ask/comment 2 times in the class to pass.
Wow, that's annoying.
It
Okay.
is annoying, but this is an annoying class.
How there were cutscenes that we participated in.
Yeah.
Make that make sense.
What?
Like
We were on a train once.
What?
There were other ones too.
You know what? I'm gonna give you 15 points on the discussion just for confusing me,
You?
because I don't know what that question means.
How did we? It didn't make sense.
What did make
Like we were participating as like other characters or like doing things in the cutscenes.
Yeah.
How?
You know what? I think if that's what's confusing you, I think we gotta start at a more.
Oh, there's a
foundational-
lot that's confusing.
Well, let's start with Chris. I'll have Kristen give you a crash course on storytelling.
But that's like we're just supposed to be seeing that action, and then all of a sudden
Yes.
we're participating in it.
Yes.
Why?
For gameplay, for immersion.
But it doesn't compete.
Bioresonance.
Ah, there we go. It all makes sense now.
Now it makes sense.
Okay, I'm good.
All right.
All right. Oh, I do have another question.
Yes.
You sort of answered this earlier, but
Mhm.
not the Pelican replicas or the whatever. Yeah, replicas. But
Yes.
like the normal enemies we face.
Yes.
The ones that were there all the time.
Mhm.
Who are they replicas of? And why are they all the same?
It is dependent on which replica you're talking about. Every model of replica is a replica of a specific individual.
So there was one individual that this replica is based on, and then there's like a bunch of those replicas.
Yeah, you can make theoretically.
Which is why there's a bunch of us.
Yeah,
too.
there's theoretically an infinite number of each model. Like you could have theoretically an infinite number of Storches or an infinite number of Adlers. They're all they're all copies of the same individual.
Yeah, this is the prestige effect. Okay.
All right. So, yeah, for your guys' final grades. As you know, there were 3 components to your final grade.
No, we don't know
You scored
that.
an A on your reports. Good job for that. Kristen got an A on the discussion section.
Like first time in my life.
Daniel, unfortunately, got an F.
Well, I just
on the
contributed.
discussion section. I'll bump
D?
I will.
I discussed in her questions.
I'll give you a D on the discussion question.
I had relevant questions when we were
Okay,
discussing
so
stuff.
Daniel gets a D on the discussion section. And then, of course, the third and most important part, the gameplay section. How did you guys perform in the game?
God.
You know, there's a lot of things that could be said about
Well, I didn't know we could be graded on
you
that.
guys' playthrough. You did, in fact, complete the game.
Without you playing a second one.
Without me playing.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
It's for Daniel.
Yeah.
I'm almost positive that Daniel beat all 3 bosses.
Mm-hmm.
Or 4 bosses.
True.
However many bosses there were, I'm pretty sure Daniel defeated all of them.
True. Daniel gets bonus points for
I
that.
think he gets bonus points.
True. Granted, this one's almost like it's kind of a joint thing because you swap back and forth so much.
We did, but I just wanted to point
Well,
out
this
that
is joint bonus points.
I did give.
I will give you bonus points for playing an indeterminate amount of the game on hard mode.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
So I'll give you
We
bonus
deserve
points
that.
for that. So I'll give you guys a solid 70
Hey.
on the gameplay section.
C's get degrees.
That's right.
So you both get C's on gameplay. Now I am too lazy to actually do the math and determine what your GPA based on those information would be.
Are these all weighted equally?
Not quite.
I can do a calculator.
Gameplay is technically weighted slightly. It's gameplay, then your presentation, then the discussion.
We never knew this.
But you know what? I'm gonna say screw it and give you both A minus.
Hey!
Hey!
Wow.
Look at how nice you are.
Aw.
What was my actual? I got an A, and then I got a C, and then I got an A.
Yes. And let's
It'll
say
be a 3.
the final discussion is worth 10 points of your grade.
Oh.
The presentation is worth 30 points, and then the gameplay is worth 60 points of your final grade.
But see, that changes everything.
That does. Okay, wait, what did you just say?
So,
Presentation.
30 points,
Okay.
discussion 10 points, gameplay 60 points.
Well, that would be 0.3. Well, you can't do a credit though. You can't do like decimals,
2 and a 1.
but that's still not equal.
I think you're spending too much time.
We're nerds.
Yeah.
We want to know our GPA.
Basically, you got a
Yes.
3, Kristen.
I got a 3.
Sort of.
What'd
You
you get?
guys,
Which one was worth the least?
that would be the discussion. At the end.
Okay, good. So
I got an A, a D, and a C.
they give you a 2.5.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Congratulations to the both of you for passing this class.
Right.
We did so good.
I will be very happy to see how you guys do next semester. In about a week or so. So rest easy while you've got the chance.
Okay.
And we'll be ready to start next time.
Let's say it's next semester.
The
The
new
game
game
we're
or
already
Silent
playing?
Hill?
Yeah.
Oh, you're assuming we're not going to finish Silent Hill.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
We'll see how. I'll still grade you on that one.
We're gonna drop out.
That's
Of that
that's
one.
like
That's an
it's like
incomplete.
a
Yeah.
bonus. That's like a summer course.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Noted.
Anyway, so yeah, we'll see if you guys drop out before you get to a certain point, I'll give you a withdrawal instead of an F. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
If
what
we make
happens.
it through the apartments.
Yeah.
Okay, how this? If you can make it through the apartments, I'll, Wait, no. If you make it through the apartments and then drop the class, then I have to give you an F because you got past this.
Yeah.
withdrawal.
We got past the date. Yeah.
So if you want a good grade, you gotta drop out.
Okay.
Which feels like a reverse incentive. I'll maybe rethink that. But we'll see about that.
Okay, we'll debate that one.
Anyway.
Goodbye,
that is-
everyone.
That is CDZ out. Goodbye, everyone.